I don't need it. I don't think.
I'll see.
You can take a picture at the end.
You might want to put it in.
That way we got it. All right, is it in point five?
Yes, that's good.
Yeah, that's got us both.
Yeah, it does.
All right, let's see. Yeah, that should be good. And make sure it's centered. You... All right, good. All right, and questions. All right, hey, quick introduction. Okay, I've already, and this is kind of by surprise. I didn't even let them know. I told them a few months ago, but boom, here we are today with it. Mr. Harbaugh was the youngest mayor to ever be elected in the state of Virginia. So that's a big deal to get interested in your community at a young age. And I remember you all are at an age too where you can already be involved in your community. But we've talked about how being mayor is an elected position. You have to be chosen. So even if you want to do it, the people have to, vote you in. So, all right, the way this is going to work is I will ask questions. And then at the end, think about your questions that you have, and then you can ask them. Yes, Casey?
Wait. How old do you have to, what's the youngest age you could be a president?
President's 35, but remember this is a state and local position. What's that?
You can't be younger for president?
No, but that's okay.
I mean, I'm president right now, but.
There you go. You're the CEO of your own life, remember that.
I am.
All right, so first question I always ask my guests are, did you ever get a referral when you were in school? Like a disciplinary referral. Did you ever get written up for anything?
Yeah, guys, look, that stuff happens, that happens. Very, very common. Just one of those things that you need to learn from and move beyond.
Yep. Yeah, because I've told y'all before, I got written up a few times. I was a class clown, like to be center of attention like some of those students in here. So I can have a little bit of compassion for you because I was in the same spot. That's why I became a teacher, though. That way I can command all the attention. So, all right, tell us about your childhood, where you grew up, what are your fondest memories, so on and so forth.
Yeah, born and raised in Middletown, local guy. Lived in Frederick County my whole life. I'm a fourth. My grandfather was a combat pilot, World War II, Charles II. His father was a medical doctor in Winchester in the Great Depression. Before that, Spanish flu, 1918. That was about the closest thing we've had to COVID, or back then, but the death toll was much higher. So different world back then, but local kid, born and raised in Middletown, great childhood, quiet town. Played football, loved it, just a great American childhood. A lot of friends, still friends with some of these folks. My mom still lives in the same house that I was born and raised in, and I live just right down the street, so a great childhood.
All right. Did you have any dreams of your future back then that you can remember? Like, did you set out to do anything or have big goals?
Yeah. I wanted to be a pilot really bad, a military pilot. That was my dream back then. And that's what I wanted to do. Had goals, had things I wanted to do. Also wanted to make money, right? Like I was like, I want a job now, like as soon as I can. Like, what can I do? And so I cut grass from super early on for anybody I could beg to let me cut their grass, even if it was just one time. I was just really money and goal oriented, and wanted to make money and to do the things, And so when we went out, I'd always buy, really wanted to make money. So those were my dreams at that age.
And I've had some former students, Silas is one, and then Braylon also. They started their own little grass cutting company in the summers, handing out brochures. So that is one quick, fast way to get into making money in the summertime for you guys. And it's not too early. You're at that age where people will employ you for that. Who were your idols, or who are your idols too? Like, do you have some of the same ones, or who'd you look up to? In terms of professionally, or some in your family, or
Yeah, okay. I had, here's a piece of life advice, and my full-time job, I'm the CEO at Access Independence. We help people with disabilities in 5 counties. Also teach at Laurel Ridge Community College, business professor, been there for 10 years. And then the mayor is kind of like my third job, but it's like a main job in a lot of ways because it's 24/7. But a lot of the things that I've come to learn are, no matter who you are, you need mentorship, and you become a conglomeration of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So, you know, whatever it is that you want to be, you need to find a mentor in that field. And the 5 people you surround yourself with are who you're going to be like. You're going to pick up traits from them. You're going to pick up things. And, you know, if you get around really successful people, you're going to be successful because you can ask them questions that cut down on the lead time that it takes to be successful. So, you know, I've always been around sheriffs, doctors, lawyers, you know, mayors. And so, like, anything that I'm going through, they've already gone through. Every possible question, everything good and bad, right? Like, they've already been through that, and you can ask them that. Sometimes it's hard or difficult to ask your parents those things, right? So, in addition to your parents, it's great to have mentors. Sheriff Lenny Milholland, I call him Dad. I never met my biological dad, and so he was very much a father figure to me. But great resource, knows everybody in the county. He's still the sheriff now. He was the sheriff of the city back then. So great resource. Dr. Robert Kendall, neurosurgeon, number 7th ranked in the country. He gets to have a license plate that says number 7. It was gifted to him by the governor of Virginia. So if you see a single-digit license plate, you know they're important. The governor's number 1. All right, so that should tell you how important this person is. Trained Dr. Ben Carson, maybe you guys know him, neurosurgeon, renowned, separated conjoined twins for the first time. Super smart guy. Worked and trained with him. So, you know, I didn't want to be a doctor, but just life advice, investment advice, job advice. Critical to you guys. Find somebody successful and older who cares about you. And if you're lucky enough, take care of them because that advice is invaluable.
Yeah, and I've talked about that. I think we had a writing prompt on it about being top 5. If you're top 5, if you're the smartest or the most successful of your top 5, you have the wrong top 5 because you almost want to be in a position where you're at the bottom of that top 5 so that you are rising up and gaining through them.
Celebrity Randall Cunningham. I thought I was him in the backyard in 1990.
And he was an Eagles.
Middletown. I'm a Redskin Washington fan, but I just watched this guy make highlight after highlight. He was Michael Vick before that. You know, this was in the 90s in the NFL. So these are great days, but celebrity. I got to meet him recently, and so that was just a lot of fun. But he's a pastor now in Las Vegas, Remnant Ministries. So,
oh, wow.
But they say you shouldn't meet your heroes, but this is one that lived up to that. So, fun little fact there.
And if you, because there are some football fans in here, if you don't know who Randall Cunningham is, look him up on YouTube. He was hurdling people long before Saquon Barkley was. Like, he was one of those quarterbacks that was electric. So, very fun to watch. My dad's an Eagles fan, so I used to watch him a lot. What was your first job?
Okay. I had a couple at the same time. I tell you, my first paid for job was grass cutting, but when he's talking about that, I assume he means my first tax-paying job. So I kind of had 2 back-to-back: Italian Touch Middletown, and then the town of Middletown maintenance department, cutting the grass, putting the flags up, cleaning the street, cleaning the park, picking up trash. And so that's really where I got my love of the community and being able, you know, a 15, 16-year-old kid to have FaceTime with the mayor. You know, that's a big deal, right? Like, you know, any question that you have or anything, you know, it's cool to be in that world where big decisions are made, right? You know, it's a $4 million company now, right? The town of Middletown is. It's just cool to have access to those type of high-level decisions.
Here's a question. If it's a $4 million town, where is it getting its money? What do you pay?
Taxes.
There you go.
Taxes, yes. Real estate, personal property, meals, sales, cigarette, lodging. But for Jared's purposes, and for you guys, our water and sewer billing is about 60% of our revenue. So providing water and sewer to customers.
Wow, that's good to know. All right, what are your fondest memories from middle school, since you're here in a middle school today?
Ooh, well, I went to Ayler, the old one. The new one wasn't built yet, so just relationships, right? Like if you guys are the people you're friends with here, you got a good chance of being friends with them in high school and in the future. So just relationships. Life is all about that. Whether you're, no matter what, it's about relationships. It's about people. It's about your teachers. It's about maintaining that relationship. I think my 7th grade science teacher, still have a great relationship with her. Mary Lou Stallings, lives on Church Street. Science teacher at Ayler for generations of kids, it seemed to liked, and so still have that relationship with her. It's about that, and it's about maintaining those relationships and fostering them, watching people grow, and as much as I love football, I don't even remember that really. I don't remember the games. I don't remember the scores. I remember the people. That's what it kind of comes down to.
Being 6'6", did you play any sports in high school?
Just football. I just football. Somebody else asked me that, but yes, I played that.
Yeah. And with high school, you were working during that time as well, during the school year?
I got this saying, live dual lives. And what that means is don't have a secret life, what I'm saying, but have this educational life where you're going to school and doing things, and then have a part-time job. I promise you what I've learned in my career to be a CEO at 33, a mayor at 24, a professor at 28 was all through work experience. The education piece was important. It's important to plow through that so you have that at your end of your name. Charles Harbaugh, MBA, got a master's degree, right? But the work experience, the technical skills, and I'm sure Jared would tell you, he's learned a lot from employment, the Navy, right? He's learned a lot from these things that kind of better your life. So if I'm an HR person and I'm hiring you out of school and I'm looking at a student who's a valedictorian, the best student in the world, and then I've got another person who's a good student and had a part-time job, which one you think I'm going to hire? Yeah, because they got technical skills and they got soft skills, right? I can teach the rest. I cannot, it'd be tough to teach somebody who's this great student or whatever, but we've got to go back in time and teach. How do you answer the phone? How do you show the work on time? How do you talk to a supervisor? What's an evaluation like? So get a job, keep it, while you're in high school. Don't quit for 25 cents more for someplace else. Yeah. Keep that job, try to rise up in it, and instead of worrying about pay, get experience and get things on job duties on your list. Hey boss, can I do that? Can I try that? Or can I figure that out? Can I run the credit card machine today? Can I, get those skills. I mean, they'll be super valuable to you.
And going back to staying in the same place, like some of y'all want to leave Winchester and all that, and that's fine. But you might find too that even if you move somewhere, stay put for a while, because then you do get layers of the community and you're more invested so that people can remember you. Like, for instance, if you're a teacher and you move from school to school to school, you're not really building a foundation either.
Such a great point. When I was at your age, a lot of people wanted to leave and they thought this was the worst place in the world, but the capital of the world is an hour away. The richest county in America is 2 over, Loudoun County. Tons of innovation, a great bubble here. It's like a bubble. Like, things can only get so bad here because there's so many government jobs, so many state jobs. Trex is headquartered here, Fortune 500 company. American Woodmark headquartered here, Fortune 500 company. Thermo Fisher Scientific in Middletown. Rubbermaid, yeah. Amazon, Procter & Gamble. All these places have created a floor that is much higher than other places' floors. Okay, so ceiling, floor, super high here. Does that make sense to everybody? You're in a great, great place to be successful. Wonderful hospital. Valley Health is great. Schools are great. I mean.
Yep, that's a big deal. Staying put is great. And going back to, like, you do 3 different things. Some people ask me sometimes, like, Mr. Davis, how do you do all that stuff and not get stressed out? If you layer your life doing the things that you like doing. So, for instance, if you're a CEO and you're a mayor, it only makes sense to go and teach people the aspects of making themselves better to help the community. So it's not like even that would be a stressful thing, because it's almost like an outlet. Like, how can I take all the knowledge that I know, all my experience, and then push it out? That's kind of the way I view my teaching. Like, I enjoy teaching. I get frustrated when some of y'all don't pay attention, because I am trying to take my experiences and give them to you without you having to pay anything for it. So yeah, that goes to layer your life onto things that you like so that you're not stressed out. They're almost your therapy, where your work is your therapy. That makes a beautiful situation. But yeah, back to major setbacks. Any of those that have occurred throughout your career or youth?
Yeah, everybody has setbacks and their opportunities. I applied to be CEO of the former company I was at. I was the number 2. I was the director of business, and it was at NW Works. NW Works is a wonderful place in Winchester. Don't get me wrong, but they had 5 CEOs in like 8 years. And I applied to be the CEO, and I kept getting like that wall, that invisible wall. It's like, well, we have Charles already, but we're going to add so and so to smooth out his skills, or we have Charles, we're going to go ahead and add this person, and they wouldn't last. And it was like, I can do this. I promise you, I can. I know I can. So that was the biggest setback in my life, is not being the CEO of the place I wanted to be. I had to try someplace else that wanted to have me in Winchester, and then they did. So that was a big setback. And it's made me better, and they're probably better for it too. And it all works out. Setbacks are going to happen. You're not going to get into the school you want. Maybe you don't get the job that you applied for. Maybe it's about battling back against those things and learning from it, because it's going to happen. It's not if. Setbacks are going to happen. You got to be able to bounce back from those things and say, hey, I'm better because I went through that. If you don't make the team, you don't get the job, you get a C in a class that you really wanted to be in, what are you going to do and learn from that? Failure is a great teacher. I think of football, sometimes you have everything right in your mind. This is what's going to happen. We're going to do this. And I broadcast football games on the radio every Friday. That's another job I have. And I've gotten to see Jared at Hanley games and stuff. And sometimes you'll have a great plan or something you think will work, and it worked a couple weeks earlier when you met him and you beat him. Thinking of Clark County, right? They played a team 2 weeks before their playoff game, beat them so bad, and then the next week they lost. What changed? Like the personnel's the same, the coaching's the same, but something changed. They had a plan that did not work, and sometimes you can have a great plan and it doesn't work. So failure is a great motivator, guys.
Yep, you just got to keep working hard and stay positive, and everything will take care of itself. If you stop working and you turn into a negative Nancy, then things will go the other direction.
The young lady has a question.
Yes, Danny.
Did you have any a dark point in your life that you thought you were going to be anything?
Well, I thought I wasn't going to be anything. Oh yeah, I mean, sure. You have dark points. I mean, I'm thinking of you guys. Like, what's the worst that can happen to you all, right? Like, same for everybody. You have family that you love. You have death. Your grandparents, especially probably at your all's age. You have breakups, right? You have life things. A job you like, it might not work out. You're going to have that. Yes, I've had failure. I mean, I told you how I wanted to be a pilot. After I got my bachelor's degree, I went to the Air Force recruiter. They said I was too tall, and I was like so bummed out for 2 days. And the next 2 days later, I got a letter being accepted to get a master's degree at Shenandoah, and so I was bummed for 2 days, and then.
Yeah.
And then I find a new career path, and then at the same time, I was the vice mayor in town, and the mayor quit, and then I got his job for 9 months before I got the 4-year term, and I'm in my 4th 4-year term now. But like, life has a way of working out. So what was dark 2 days later is fine. Oh look, if you're working at things differently, opportunities are going to always come your way.
Yeah, so just don't succumb to it. Keep moving. That's the message there.
Yeah.
Yes, Celeste.
What was the most important decision you made in middle or high school?
It's okay to not know what you want to do. If you're sitting in these things and you don't know what you want to do, I didn't know either, especially. And then even in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought, well, I'm going to apply at Lord Fairfax, get my associate's degree. Didn't know what I wanted to do. 2 years later, okay, well, I'm applying at Shenandoah and get my bachelor's degree. It's okay to not be I want to be a vet. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an attorney. I want to be a cop, right? It's okay to not know that and to figure out life in college, all the while that you're working and getting an education and checking a lot of boxes, right? So I would say that is just getting a job and keep pushing on, with your education. It's so much easier when you're young to make these decisions than it is to like, well, I'm not going to school. Because every year out of school, your life gets harder, right? You guys like Play-Doh now, super malleable. But life comes on you pretty quick out of school. You have bills, you have a house payment, you have a relationship, maybe you get married, maybe you have kids. All these things add up and pile on you, and it makes it difficult to go back to school. So if you can keep chipping away at that, that's invaluable. And so just the tenacity. You gotta be tenacious, you gotta, go for what you want. And so I guess that would be my answer to your question.
And keep confidence. When did you decide to run for mayor, and then give us like a typical month as being a mayor, which is kind of, we've talked about like being the president of a locality at a smaller level.
So the year was 2010. I was on the town council, got elected. This was after I'd worked for the town for 4 years in the maintenance department. I was a vice mayor the year later, and then I kind of told you how I became mayor, but I was getting my master's degree, I was working, and then this job kind of fell in my lap, and I knew I've got 9 months. If I do my job good enough, nobody will run against me. It's like a free job interview, right? So I've got an opportunity. And so just trying to make the most of that opportunity in 2012, March 2012, and then nobody ran against me with the election in November. So that was the timeline. That's how it happened. I didn't want to be mayor. I mean, I was the vice mayor. I was happy with that, and the job kind of fell on me. And so I just thought I could make a difference. I thought I could do some good. I thought this was a town full of people, kind of like NW Works. I said five CEOs in 8 years. We had 3 mayors in 4 years. A bunch of people who didn't really love it, didn't want it. And I thought, well, I can't do any worse than that, So let me see if I can figure this thing out here.
And as a comparison, it would be like a school switching up principals every year. And I've been in that kind of environment. Over at Daniel Morgan Intermediate, they went through several principals in several years. And that does make it stressful, because it's like you're trying to teach, but your boss keeps changing, and what they prefer and what they want changes. So it's cool that somebody like Miss O'Donnell has stayed put for a while, because the school's able to feel some harmony, and people know what she expects, and we don't have to wake up every day wondering what's going to need to be changed, because we know how she operates. It's the same thing with being a boss or a CEO or a mayor. Continuity matters. So
yeah. Stability matters, right? You can then strategize when you have stability. When you got tons of turnover, you're just putting out fires and training new people constantly. But if you've got stability, you can strategize. What should this place look like 5, 7, 10 years down the road? And you're completing projects, you're knocking things out. There's a lot of comfort in that.
Yeah. And what would be some of the best parts about being the mayor, and then on the other side, the most difficult parts?
The best parts are you have an opportunity to make a tremendous amount of difference for 2,000 people, and even more so regionally. As you guys know, this is the fastest growing county in Virginia, okay, for the 4th consecutive year. All right, so it's growing here. In Middletown, we're trying to tamp that down. Like, we're a national park. We want more preserved land. We want a quiet way of life and living. We see great value in that. And so we have 2,100 acres of preserved land. So we're trying to get more. We're buying up new properties all the time, and trying to tell the story, not just Civil War history, but, of Native American history, of history when the settlers first got here. There's a lot of things that can be told, but that quiet way of life will have a big meaning to people in Middletown for a long time to come. So the best thing is being able to make a difference. People put me down for their job resume or job references, and I can help so-and-so get a job. You can build playground equipment and have kids come and play, and we've got a real baseball field, which sounds crazy to you, but when I was first mayor, we only had like a little field that was for kids to play. Now we've got baseball being played there by high schools and local teams, Legacy Christian Academy. We have 4 football teams practicing in our park. You can do exciting things. That's the best part. The worst part is you become intimately involved with all 2,000 people's lives. If they can't pay their taxes or the water bill, you know about it, right? You know the good and the bad, and people whenever they go into a store to complain, they never ask for the assistant manager or the manager on duty. They always ask for the store manager. Same thing in Middletown. Everybody's got a complaint. They ask for the mayor. Here, they don't ask for the assistant principal. They ask, I want to speak to the principal. And so you get kind of all of that, things that don't even involve you, but it's super important to the person complaining. So you can't just dismiss them. You have to listen to them and their situation and what's going on, and then make recommendations. I can't pay my taxes this week. Could I set up a payment plan? I lost my job. You know, like sad stories like that, you hear way too many. So that's the worst. And then sometimes, you know, hey, look, you are late. You didn't set up a payment plan. We got to cut your water off. That's a tough thing to tell somebody. But, you know, that's why you have policies and procedures and laws in place. And then you have this gray period where there can be payment plans and leeway, you know, but, you know, so I guess that's the worst.
And at that position, you get kind of a stipend, right? So it's not like a big amount of money. So it really is something you have to enjoy doing just for the sake of it. It's almost like coaching a sport. Like, you're not going to be reimbursed truly for your time. So you really do have to like it.
Oh yeah, just like your football coaches, right? Or your other, I mean, these people are spending tremendous amount of time coaching you, working with you, watching tape, doing administrative things that you don't even know that they're doing. Same thing in Middletown. You know, I spend a lot of time applying for grants, things that don't show up all the time. You know, we get credit for a grant that we might write that we get, but how many did I apply for that I didn't get that nobody knows about? So if you want to be great at something, it's the behind the scenes stuff that you're doing that makes you great at something.
And let's go back to your 8th grade Charlie Harbaugh self. What advice would you give your 8th grade self, knowing that you've got this life experience and you could go back and talk to him?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I blew a lot of money, I guess you could say. I went out to eat a lot of times I didn't need to. You know, I really believe in the stock market. I've got quite a bit invested there. I think anything that you can save now and invest is going to be such a great thing for your future. Dual enrollment too. That's a big deal. If you guys can go to college and kill 2 birds with 1 stone in high school, where you get high school credit for the class and then you get college credit, look, please take the time to be a kid and enjoy yourself. But when you get to 10th grade, start looking at that stuff, and you save so much money. But that class at Lord Fairfax is like $2,000. That class at Shenandoah University is like $8,000, right? JMU is probably $6,000. So, you know, you can save yourself a ton of money by dual enrollment, and then just saving and being wiser with money. I blew a lot, bought a lot of stupid dinners and lunches and paid for friends. And, you know, you had fun, and you need to have fun. Don't get me wrong, but you know, get involved in the stock market. You know, look at Nvidia or Amazon or Meta or Starbucks or some of these companies, and you know, just put some money into that, and you'll be very surprised with the returns on investment that you can get.
And 2 of those things, dual enrollment, this is a class full of top-notch individuals that are good students, they're intelligent. And that's when you go to Hanley and you take classes that already count for college credit, okay? And that they are available. So that's why it's important to your freshman year, next year, go all out and getting those A's so that you're on the radar so that you can take those classes, because that's like literally saving money. Investing, okay? I've been lucky. I'm a reader. I care about investing, but I didn't start until I was like 30, okay? So the earlier you get, we've talked about this, time is in your favor right now. You are literally younger than I am by 25 years. That time in good companies grows to crazy amounts. If you start late, it can only grow but so fast. So that's why it is important. Once you start getting your money and you're 18 and investing, because you have time on your side. You don't want to wake up in your 30s and 40s and say, now it's time to invest, when your tree could have already been massive because you never got around to it.
Yeah. Time in the market beats timing the market.
Yeah.
And that's what that means, you know. And I've got a buddy who's got this great saying. That's a good saying too. Don't get me wrong, but Robbie Lyman, probably the premier performer around here. Your parents know who he is, you guys don't, but he performs all the bars, nightclubs, wineries, breweries around here. He's the most booked, the most successful local. And he told me, he says, listen, if I can play a gig on Monday night, that's my car payment. If I can play a gig on Tuesday night, that's my water bill. If I can play a gig on Wednesday night, that's my savings. If I can pay a gig Thursday night, that's my investment money. And if you could do the same thing with your job, you know, and put that money towards that, you guys, I mean, super young, you'll be a millionaire in no time.
Yep. And talk to Davis. Give me a call. I'm here for you for life, okay? Room 280. All right, open to student questions. So you've done a good job answering my questions. Now it's time to open it up to the group. Yes, Ileana.
You said, Mr. Davis said how, you're like the youngest mayor in Virginia, right?
I was when I was elected at 24, yeah.
Yeah,
youngest
so
mayor
how
in Virginia.
old were you when you were mayor, like the first time?
I've still been the mayor since then. I was 24 when I was elected mayor. I was 22 when I was council, but I was the youngest elected mayor in Virginia history.
And he's been reelected
Since
that
then.
whole time, which is the most impressive part. If you do your job well and you care about it, people know that and they want you around. So, yeah. Yeah, more than 10 years. 12 years, yeah.
How tall were you when you were 13?
Yeah, I was a late bloomer. I was definitely not, you know, I'd say freshman year of college, I started, you know, getting really, oh wow, like I got to shop at a big and tall store, you know. so yeah, I guess that was normal in college or high school, you know, 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, and then that last kind of year blew up. So if you're worried about you're not as tall as you want to be, you guys have some time, you know.
Yeah.
It's okay, you know, there's some that are 19, 20, they start, you know, or 17, 18, 14, 15. I mean, everybody's different, so that's why you're asking that question.
You still might be 6'8" one day.
Yeah.
You might be 6'8" one day, you never know.
Not fixing it.
All right,
Yes.
Ileana again? Yeah.
Do you miss being like in school with all your friends, or are you happy like being like this with like, or like do you still like talk to your friends from middle school?
Oh yes. Yeah, I think I said that, but life gets better, right? Like I don't miss this. I miss what I could have learned earlier, and that's why Mr. Davis has brought me in to teach you guys these things that you can learn when you're 14, 15 that is going to propel you to success in life. So you can either choose to listen to these guest speakers he brings in or ignore them. And you know, this is invaluable advice, is what you can get from people. So, you know, life gets better. And the friends that you're really friends with, you're going to keep those. You know, you'll keep in touch through college and through jobs and through weddings and all these things. So yes, I'm still friends with those people.
And that's another thing too for some of you all that are introverts. Remember, there's Interact Club at Hanley where you run events and help events and set them up, and that kind of forces you to mingle with people. I've seen a lot of the kids that used to be little shy ones here in middle school, when they went to Hanley, they joined things like Interact Club, and they branched out, and it's kind of cool to see. So some of y'all that have that, remember there's stuff out there for you.
What's
Casey?
an introvert?
Introvert, somebody who's kind of, well, there's different styles of introvert, but somebody who perhaps keeps to themselves a little more. Okay. It's like coming out of your shell, in other words. Any other questions? Yes, Celeste?
Do you think he's gonna continue to be a man for a while?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm very happy with my life, you know, and I've got a great job, great part-time job. I'm happy there. I'm not politically motivated. I'm just happy trying to make a difference. You know, people ask me to run for other things, but it's kind of nice in Middletown. In small towns, small jobs, you can be beloved and liked. When you go up a notch, things get nastier. Social media has made politics nasty. In the old days, in Jared's and I's time growing up, once you were elected, it was over and done with for 2 and 4 years. There wasn't this constant news cycle 24/7. You know, if a Republican was elected and you were a Democrat, you respected them, you worked with them, you maybe not have voted against them, but you didn't embarrass them on the internet or try not to work with them, or vice versa. If it's a Dem and you're a Republican, you knew, I've got to work with this person. And the more successful he is, the more successful we're going to be. So I encourage you guys to be bipartisan, to work with people, you know, you know, to do that. That's some other good advice. Just find the beauty in the other political party instead of the differences between you all, and try to work with those people. It's not appealing to somebody to go up to a lot of people, good people, because why would you want to be made fun of on the internet? You know, like, that's tough to take, you know, and from somebody you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
But they can say, oh, he's terrible, but you've never met him. That's tough to take, you know. So that's my advice. Happy where I'm at.
You play golf.
What do you say?
Golf. Do you play golf?
Oh, for charity, 3 to 4 times a year. When you get my age, everybody has a golf fundraiser, every nonprofit, and it's just kind of like commonplace. I enjoy it in those terms because you get to play with a foursome, you know, 3 of your friends, and it's a day out, you know, and it's for a charitable endeavor. So yes, I play charity golf tournaments.
Yeah, Ileana?
Did you run as a Democrat or a Republican?
In small towns in Virginia, everybody's an independent, and they should be that way. A lot of people drag themselves into political parties or attach themselves because they don't have name recognition. So I'm an independent in Virginia. Everybody under a certain amount of population in Virginia is supposed to be that way to prevent this from political parties divulging themselves into local issues. All right, so my issues are not political. The trash needs taken out, people need water and sewer, the streets need plowed, the sidewalks need repaired, not Republican and Democratic issues, right? So that's what the attention ought to be in small towns, not, you know, national political things that drag people down.
That's huge because I didn't even know that. So that is a big deal. Because think about it, if you have to label yourself one or the other and you're thinking you have to pick one, you suddenly might create opposition that is unwarranted.
You automatically going to get 35% of the vote. You're automatically going to lose 35, and then you're trying to appeal for this 16% of the 30 to win the election. So it's really nice to be an independent where, you know, you open yourself up to all those possibilities.
Access independence,
Yeah.
helping people with disabilities. When did you get your first realization that was where you find a lot of joy?
Over 12 years ago, I was at NW Works. I was recruited there after I got my degree. The CEO was like, "Hey," he was the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce is also a big deal, guys. You know, if you can get yourself involved in the chamber, we have a great one, and I'm not saying that. I'm involved in others, Page County and Shenandoah County, and like ours is like super great, right? And ours represents Frederick, Winchester, and Clark County. So he was like, "Hey, I want you to come by and volunteer here. I think you'll like something." And just working with people with disabilities. Anybody done that? Raise your hand. You ever worked with somebody with disabilities? It's just like a beautiful thing how happy they are and how smart they are in different ways. And how loyal they are, and how you could be having the worst day, and I'll have a client come in, "How's your mom? How's your dog? How's your brother? How's you doing? Your birthday's coming up." Like, they're so smart in ways, and they're so caring and kind, and they need a tireless advocate, somebody to go to work for them, and because the real world is not kind to people with disabilities. There's barriers, physical, right? And then, you know, the building might not be handicap accessible. They may want to go try this brewery, or winery, but there's steps going into it, and there's not a ramp, and they're in a wheelchair, right? Like, the world could be physically hindering, but also, you know, if they see somebody with a disability, well, they don't have disposable income. They can't get me a job or a contract, and people don't even entertain them or talk to them. So I just really think, you know, I guess to answer your question, I'm rambling, but 2011 was when I found out that this is what I wanted to do, and this was a career path for me.
Yeah, and too, like Hanley High School has a great program through Tina Hall. She's the representative there, and a lot of those students do go out and work in certain locations, which is cool. And one of the things when I was in elementary school, I was a class count. I got in trouble several times. And the principal said, you know what, you should go help out with the special ed students, help them for an hour a day. And that was one of the best things that ever happened to me because it enabled me to channel my energy into helping someone else. So I always think back to that principal, and I was like, that is a creative way to use a student. But yeah, any other questions? All right, Henry, you want to take a picture and then we'll be done? Okay. You know how to work the phone?